This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good afternoon, students. Okay. Today, let's begin with one of the topics, antibiotics, that is the or antimicrobial drugs. The name itself suggests that these are the drugs which are acting against microbes. Okay. So they are called as antimicrobial drugs, or the layman term we say it as antibiotics. Okay. Let's begin with this topic. Okay. Now this is the outline of the class. First, we'll see introduction, then followed by classification of the antibiotics, then followed by some of the drugs like hope I'm audible to all. Okay, we'll see mechanism of action, uses, adverse effects of these two class of drugs. Okay, let's be clear what we are going to do today. Otherwise, you'll be lost in the topic. So today we are doing antibiotics. In that first, we'll deal with classification. Among the classification, two class of drugs we are going to study today. That is their mechanism of action, uses, and adverse effects of drugs like penicillins, cephalosporins, cotrimoxazole, and quinolones. These are the group of drugs which are going to study. Okay. I hope everybody have understood what we're going to do today. Let's begin. Now, what are these? Or destroy the growth of organisms. Okay. Now, these are the various organisms. I'm not going to read about various organisms. Later, you can read what are these gram. Huge list of this. There's a huge list of organisms. This is required for present today's topic because as we're dealing with micro antibiotics for organisms, so you should be knowing the names of organisms. So you can read about okay. Now, by gram staining technique, this is usually dealt in microbiology. By gram staining technique, the stain, use a gram stain, we divide these bacteria into gram positive and negative bacteria. Now you can see that as you can see the slide here, there are gram positive bacteria. These are deep blue color stained organisms. They're called as gram positive. I will not go into detail how these technique procedure is done. Just I'll mention you what are these gram positive and gram negative organisms. See, gram negative organisms are pink color stain. You can just see here. Okay, now this gram positive bacteria has got a thick layer of blue color around it. This is a layer. There is a green color lipopolysaccharide layer around it. So these are your gram negative bacteria. If you just see a cross section here, you can just see that there are a thick layer of peptidoglycan, blue color around the gram positive, and this is gram negative, where the peptidoglycan layer is very thin. It is surrounded by a lipopolysaccharide layer. The connection. Okay, so why we are dealing this is because we are dealing with antibiotics. We should know organisms whether they're gram positive or gram negative. That will help us to deal with what type of antibiotic to be chosen for the treatment. For that purpose, we need to know what is this gram positive and gram negative organism. Okay, next, moving to this, you can later read on how this gram staining is done and what are the various organisms. See, these are the few examples of gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Okay, like Staphylococcus aureus, gram positive. All these gram positive organisms will be dark blue color or purple color stained organisms. Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, okay, then we have is gram negative bacteria. These are pink cholera. Okay, these are Vibrio cholera and E. coli organisms. These are your gram negative organisms. Okay, coming to the classification of antibiotics, these are classified into cell wall synthesis inhibitors and nucleic acid synthesis inhibitors and protein synthesis inhibitors. Now, these cell wall synthesis inhibitors are further divided into beta-lactam antibiotics, vancomycin,
Ma'am,
Ma'am, not audible.
okay, first we'll be dealing with your cell wall synthesis inhibitors.
ma'am,
Inhibitors. Okay. You can just see in this
not
picture.
audible, ma'am.
Am I audible now? Sorry, this frequently the audio is going on. It's by the organized. Any problem? Can you hear me now?
Ma'am, please off the camera. It
Am
will be
I
better
audible?
audible to us.
Ma'am, there is disturbance in the sound.
Okay. Actually, there is no external sound here. Am I audible now? Hello? Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hope I'm audible. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So as you can see here, the organisms are divided into, the drugs are divided into bacteriostatic and bactericidal drugs. The name bacteriostatic means here the drugs will just inhibit the growth of organisms. They just arrest the growth. Okay. And bactericidal means they kill organisms. is your bactericidal drugs. Now coming to the examples for these drugs. Beta-lactam antibiotics, vancomycin, quin. Okay, I hope I'm audible. These are your bactericidal drugs, and here you can see other side. These are bacteriostatic drugs: erythromycin, clindamycin, sulfonamides, trimethoprim, and tetracycline. These are your bacteriostatic group of drugs. So you can think that the drugs which are bactericidal are more powerful group of drugs. Now, why do we need to differentiate this is like in certain patients, immunocompromised patients, diabetic patients, the patients who have, uh, hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're
Students,
audible.
am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
why we need to differentiate these drugs is in patients like diabetic patients, neutropenia patients, or any immunocompromised patients who are on steroids, we need not give them bacteriostatic drugs. For them, always we try to give bactericidal drugs. Okay. Now, what is the spectrum means against which organism it is active? Narrow means you can just see in this picture, it gives a lot of meaning. The narrow spectrum means the drug is effective against only few organisms. They're called as narrow spectrum. The drug which is active gram positive, gram negative, okay, and also others like anaerobes, spores. Okay, these are called as broad spectrum antibiotics. In this, you can just see our most of the penicillin group of drugs, cephalosporin group of drugs, tetracyclines, they all fall under broad spectrum antibiotics. And your narrow spectrum antibiotics are your aminoglycosides, okay, natural penicillins like penicillin 5-NG, glycopeptides, streptogramins, all these will be your narrow spectrum antibiotics. We'll just go one. Today, let's start begin with cell wall synthesis inhibitors. Okay, in this we have beta-lactam. What's the meaning of beta-lactam is these group of antibiotics, they have a beta-lactam ring in their structure. So in this, okay. Okay, first we'll deal with the penicillin, cephalosporin. These group of drugs we'll be dealing now. Okay, now how was this penicillin group of drugs discovered? Okay, we'll just see it's an accidental discovery. I think you all know the name of Sir Alexander Fleming. Okay, he was working in St. Mary's Hospital lab in London. Okay, now what happened is as he's a scientist, he was working in his lab. He has inoculated staphylococci organism in these petri dishes and he has left in his lab. Okay. It means that the staphylococcus were undergoing lysis. Okay, and the father colonies, they were normal. It indicates that the mold which was growing, it was killing the staphylococcal organisms. Okay, staphylococcal organisms it was killing. This led to the discovery of penicillin group of drugs from Penicillium notatum. It is a fungus. We classify them into natural penicillins, penicillin G, procaine penicillin, and benzathine penicillin. Okay, these are natural penicillins. Then we have semi-synthetic penicillins. These are penicillin-resistant penicillins like cloxacillin. See, commonly used drugs in practice, I'm only going to name them. Otherwise, there's a huge list of antibiotics. We'll just focus on commonly used drugs. Then we have extended spectrum penicillins. These are divided into amino penicillins. I think most of you have heard about amoxicillin and ampicillin. These fall under amino penicillins. Then we have is carboxy penicillins, that is carbonicillin. Uridopenicillins, it is piperacillin. Okay. These are extended spectrum. It meaning that compared to your natural penicillins, they have got the spectrum is broader. Then we have third class is beta lactamase inhibitors. Okay. What are these enzymes? To protect themselves, microorganisms started producing enzymes like penicillinase, beta lactamase. This is defense mechanism from your organisms. They started to protect themselves from drugs. So what we did later was we started to attack even the enzymes. Okay. Now, so only we have penicillinase resistant penicillins and here is beta lactamase inhibitors. It means that these drugs are going to destroy the Okay. This is the spectrum of your organisms. If you see the natural penicillins, they are acting against gram-positive and gram-positive cocci and bacilli. To name a few, what are the gram-positive cocci? They are your Staphylococcus and your Streptococcus pneumoniae. Okay, and bacilli like Clostridium. Okay, these are the organisms against which natural penicillins are active. Okay. Amox and ampicillin, they've got a wider spectrum compared to, also the spectrum improves against gram-negative or gram-negative organisms like E. coli, Klebsiella, Proteus. Against all these organisms, it is more active. Now, against Pseudomonas, here, ticarcillin, piperacillin, carbapenicillin, these drugs are more active against your gram-negative organisms as well as Pseudomonas infection. Okay. Then your the combination with your beta-lactamase inhibitors, which we use more frequently nowadays, they've got a very including penicillinase producing staphylococci, gonococci, E. coli, and H. influenza. These drugs have got a broader spectrum compared to your earlier penicillin group of drugs. Beta-lactam antibiotics, they bind to this is a section of the cell wall of the bacteria where your penicillins, once it is taken through the pores, it enters the microorganism. Okay, they go and bind to this penicillin binding proteins. Okay, now what is the function of these proteins is they help in the formation of this peptidoglycan layer. In a bit, they form the peptidoglycan layer. They form cross-linking of this cell wall. So once these penicillin group of drugs go and bind to the penicillin binding proteins, they inhibit the formation of the cell wall. Bactericidal effect. I hope the mechanism of action is very clear. Synthesis by inhibiting the peptide. Okay. Now next is what are these beta-lactamase inhibitors? We'll just see. See, once I give a penicillin, like simple penicillin, amoxicillin, if I give, it will kill the bacteria. Now your bacteria, what it is doing? It is going to synthesize beta-lactamase enzyme. It want to kill the to protect our drug, we combine it with clavulanic acid. Okay, so in presence of this, your beta-lactamase sorry, again, there's a lot of disturbance in the audio, but I think seeing this picture, it will be clearer why we are combining a beta-lactam drug with the
Ma'am,
beta-lactamase enzyme. Yeah,
ma'am, the voice is
hello.
not clear. Ma'am, the voice is not clear. If the video will be switched off, then it will get clear.
A video is switched off only here. The screen is not seen.
No, ma'am, we can see your video
Huh?
also.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Now you can just see these beta-lactamase inhibitors. They don't have antibacterial activity of their own. They have just protect the drug from inhibiting by the with tazobactam. So these are the combinations which are done with a penicillin group of drugs. Okay. So this combination helps to improve their antibacterial activity. You might have seen all this augmentin, co-amoxiclav, moxicide. All these are combinations of your amoxicillin and clavulanic acid. Okay. This is why we combine these two drugs so that we protect our penicillin group of drug. Coming to the uses of these drugs, now natural penicillins we use in the treatment of various infections like streptococcal infection, acute streptococcal sore throat infection, okay, gram positive rods. Okay, it's also used in the treatment of syphilis. We use procaine penicillin, okay, injections once daily for 10 days. That's the standard treatment still followed for the treatment of syphilis. In meningococcal infections, it can be used in the treatment of staphylococcal and streptococcal. Aminopenicyls like amoxicillin, ampicillin frequently used in treatment of your respiratory infections like otitis media, bronchitis, meningitis, urinary tract infections. Okay, for the prophylaxis of bacterial endocarditis, these drugs are used. Now coming to the okay, these drugs are used in the management of importantly Pseudomonas aeruginosa infection where they cause community acquired pneumonia, and also they're used in resistant urinary tract infection and prostatitis. They can also be used in the management of surgical prophylaxis and meningitis. Okay, and your combination drugs, commonly as you all know, amoxicillin and clavulanic acid. This is used in the management of otitis media, sinusitis. Okay, frequently we use all these drugs. Skin and any skin structure infections like boils, furunculitis. Okay, there we very resistant infections only in patients preparations we use them. Otherwise, commonly used is amoxicillin and your clavulanic acid combination. Penicillins, we all know they are known to cause hypersensitivity reaction. That is because of one of its metabolite, penicillinic acid. Okay, penicillinic acid, it's responsible for the hypersensitivity reaction. It acts as an antigen and there is production of antibodies. Okay, now these penicillins can also cause diarrhea. They can also cause hematologic toxicity, only can be seen at a very large doses. difficult What's the treatment for this is always whenever we're giving penicillin, we have to do a test dose in the medial aspect of the forearm. Okay. If already you've given penicillin injection, patient develops penicillin allergy, always we keep Okay. Now, how this adrenaline helps is it's a physiological antagonist of your adrenaline will counteract the histamine release. So only it's a drug of choice, life saving. Okay. Then injection chlorpheniramine maleate is an antihistaminic drug. And injection hydrocortisone, it's a steroid. All these three drugs are given if there is any penicillin drug allergy. Next, coming to cephalosporins. Okay, till now we have finished introduction and penicillins. In the penicillins, we saw the mechanism of action, the classification of drugs, okay, and the uses, adverse. Okay, these cephalosporins are known to cause lot of hypersensitivity. Cephalosporins, they can also cause hypersensitivity reaction. Big classification of his cephalosporins. You okay? Coming. These drugs have got anti-pseudomonal activity. So only they become an important class of drugs for treatment of your community acquired pneumonia. Okay. Then your fourth generation also similarly like third, they've got very broad spectrum and including they act on pseudomonas. Fifth generation are the new class of drugs. They're acting against your Staphylococcus aureus, pseudomonas, and they also help in treatment of community acquired pneumonia. So as we move on to the higher spectrum, the spectrum goes on improving. Now coming to the uses of your cephalosporins, we use these drugs in the treatment of various infections. Commonly, you might have seen these tablets cefadroxil. These can be used in the treatment of your respiratory, skin infections, urinary tract infections. We use this first generation drug. In the treatment of gonorrhea, just the single dose of ceftriaxone is sufficient to treat gonorrhea. So these are very powerful group of serious kinds of infection. We use the third generation of cephalosporins, that is commonly the parenteral preparations. Adverse drug reactions, they can be pain at the intramuscular site and thrombophlebitis at the IV site. Similar like the other adverse drug reactions is diarrhea. They can also be cross reaction with penicillins. And they can also cause bleeding. We're not going to detail of about these drugs. These are just as a reserve drugs. When your penicillins, cephalosporins, they are not helping, these can be used in case of resistant infections, hospital infections. Okay. The other class of drugs these are important use of this vancomycin is it is helpful in the management we see the uses here for surgical prophylaxis, osteomyelitis, for any prosthetic devices. There as a high end of antibiotics we use vancomycin, otherwise it should not be used for the simple infections. Till now we have finished the cell wall synthesis inhibitors, penicillins. This combination is called as co-trimoxazole. Okay, these are folic acid Now, Dogmack was the one. First, he introduced sulfonamides. He discovered sulfonamide group of drugs. These are some of the sulfonamides which we use frequently are sulfadiazine, sulfamethoxazole, okay, silver sulfadiazine. You must have seen the topical ointment silver sulfadiazine. So it's a topical preparation. Sulfadoxin, mechanism of action of these drugs we'll just see. See, alone them. Once you combine them, they become bactericidal drug on combination. Required for your synthesis of nucleic acids like DNA and RNA. Now, what your sulfonamides and trimethoprim do is they decrease the synthesis of folic acid. This tetrahydrofolic acid is an active form of folic acid. In the bacteria, these drugs prevent the synthesis of folic acid. So once there is no folic acid, your DNA and RNA synthesis doesn't occur. That will indirectly inhibit the bacterial growth. Remember, alone they act as coming to the spectrum. These drugs have got a wider spectrum. You can Cotrimoxazole acts on most of these organisms along with Pneumocystis xerovicae. So the spectrum is wider here. Okay, uses, where do we use the sulfonamides? Okay, we use in the treatment here, sulfonamide, sulfacetamide eye drops we use in conjunctivitis. This is a silver sulfadizing cream. Commonly in burns, what you will find it is used in the treatment of burns. Okay, these are your cotrimoxazole tablets. We can use them for simple treatment of UTI and respiratory infection. But nowadays, because of the development of lot of resistance to this drug, the usage of sulfonamides is comparatively less. You can use these drugs in the management of malaria, granuloma inguinale, and toxoplasmosis. Okay, these drugs are used. These drugs can cause crystalluria. Urinary stones can be seen. So we hemolytic anemia. In newborns, we do not give. In pregnant women, we do not give these drugs. In newborns, it can cause kernicterus. Okay, coming to cotrimoxazole. Commonly seen is it can cause nausea, vomiting, skin rash. Along with that, in higher doses, it can also cause a lot of hematologic toxicities. It can decrease in the cell count of your WBCs, platelets. the pancytopenia. So granulocytopenia can occur with these cotrimoxazole in high dose when we use for prolonged period. Coming to the last class of drugs, that is quinolones. Okay, till now we finished penicillins, cephalosporins. I just mentioned okay. Your norfloxacin comes under your first generation drug. They're mainly active against gram-negative bacteria. Gram-positive bacteria, aerobic organisms, and also gram-negative bacteria. Okay, they have got good activity against anaerobes, third generation drugs. Then coming to the fourth generation drugs, okay, they are mainly active against again your anaerobes and also improved activity against pneumococci. Frequently, what we use are your ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin. Nowadays, for respiratory infection, levofloxacin usage is also increased. Okay, in bacteria, normally during replications, there is supercoiling of the DNA. This is normally during occurring. Okay, DNA kinases and topoisomerase. Okay, but inhibiting this, what they're doing is the DNA is getting damaged. So if the DNA is damaged, it causes cell death, that is bactericidal effect. It doesn't affect our human cells because in our humans there is okay. What are the uses of these fluoroquinolones? We'll just see. See, you can just see here all the infections we are using fluoroquinolones. Ophthalmic infections, respiratory, okay, GI infections, abdominal infections, urinary tract, sexually transmitted infections, okay, infections of the bone, soft tissue, all the system infections we use this fluoroquinolone. So they are widely used drugs, either oral or parenteral preparations can be used. Simple for urinary tract infection, what we use is your tablet ciprofloxacin 500 milligrams for 5 to 10 days in adults. Okay, in children we make for bacterial GI infections we use cipro or norfloxacin for 3 to 5 days. typhoid in typhoid, we give 500 milligrams twice daily for 10 days. Okay, but bronchitis, pharyngitis, we give levofloxacin 500 milligrams once daily for 5 days. Okay, in tuberculosis, as a second line of drugs, these are also given in multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, moxifloxacin, gatifloxacin, and also ciprofloxacin. These are used as a second line of drugs in tuberculosis. In gram-negative septicemias, okay, in then intravenous preparation of ciprofloxacin is combined with either cephalosporin or gentamicin and given to treat septicemia. Okay, conjunctivitis, you all know, we give the Ciplox eye drops or even Oflox eye drops is available. So very widely we use this group of drugs. Adverse effects, they are well tolerated drug, otherwise they can just cause nausea, vomiting and diarrhea. But remember that these drugs should not be given to pregnant women and in children. Okay, the problem is they can cause tendinitis and tendon rupture. So we avoid it in So also during pregnancy, we do not give these class of drugs. Remember, quinolones do not give in pregnant women and also in children less than 18-year-old. Okay, we'll just see to summarize what are the drugs used in the treatment of typhoid fever. Okay, in case of uncomplicated typhoid, we give ciprofloxacin. Okay, nowadays first choice of drug is your ceftriaxone or cefotaxime. Okay, we give intravenous twice daily for azithromycin 1 gram on day 1, followed by 500 milligrams once daily for the next 2 weeks. Okay, chloramphenicol is outdated. We don't use now because of the resistance of the drugs. In severe typhoid, same drugs we continue for 2 weeks. Okay, these are the drugs which are used in the management of typhoid fever. Now lastly, this is the last slide, we'll see what are the drugs used in the urinary tract infection. Remember, acute UTI, we give these drugs for 3 to 5 days. In case of chronic UTI, drugs or Ciplox ofloxacin 200 milligrams twice daily for 5 days. Okay, these are the drugs which are commonly used. Or if you see in pregnant mother, if frequently UTI is seen in pregnant women, we give them cefodoxime proaxetil. Okay, 200 milligrams she has to take twice daily for 5 days. And also your coamoxiclav can be given twice daily for 5 days. This nitrofurantoin is an urinary antiseptic. It gets specifically concentrated in the urine acidic pH. What you can do is you can just give plain nitrofurantoin 100 milligrams Same drugs, if there is upper UTI infection, so in summary, if you see, these are the drugs. Okay, first we dealt with this cell wall synthesis inhibitors, beta lactams. We saw about vancomycin and all these 4 classes of drugs, and also the drugs which inhibit nucleic acid synthesis like quinolones, cotrimoxazole, and we also did a combination. If this completes today's session, if anybody has any doubt, you can clarify. Any doubts? You can unmute and please ask. A bit slower. Sorry for that. As the content is vast, I was a bit fast. For next time, we'll go a bit slow. Okay. If any doubts are there, we can also clarify in your next class.
Thank you, ma'am.